Hi guys, welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. And today, guys, I am coming at you with my March wrap-up. And it's still April, so hush. I refuse to get behind again. I'm not going to do it, but I got it in April. It's late, and hopefully I'll get the April one out sooner. And I say that because I'm filming it in April, so even if I don't get it out in April, because I just refuse to edit it, I filmed it in April, so on time, because I'm talking about the previous month, because it has not become May yet. So, in April, I'm woefully unprepared for this video. I didn't check my stats. I'm gonna see if I can remember. No, I failed. So, in March, I read 6 things. I read 4 books, and then a short story and some nonfiction essays, I guess, like a collection of nonfiction essays. So, and out of those, I had 2 3 stars, 2 4 stars, 1 4.5 star, I guess, we'll see, and then 1 5 star. Only 1 5-star book in the month of March. So the 5-star strumpet did not have the best month of reading, but January and February were really good. I think I've also just tapered off. I think even my enthusiasm for, some of the books in January, February has tapered. I think I was just so excited about reading again. So maybe it'll be a little even keeled. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what you'll get? Any day of the week, any month, maybe I'm like, oh, I love all these books, or maybe I'm just grumpy. And I'm like, oh, well, all of these are, fine. So who knows? Who knows? Without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and talk about the things that I read in March. So I'll go ahead and talk about the short story first. It is The Face in the Window by Brian McClellan. It's a short story by Brian McClellan. So as you know, I love Flintlock Fantasy, and I'm on a quest to find the best of Flintlock Fantasy, and I didn't really like Promise of Blood, which is the first of the Powder Mage series. And so I am determined to finish the Powder Mage series, but I also got his short story / novella collection in the Field Marshal's Shadow and the other ones. And I'm reading that because most of them take place before Promise of Blood, and I've only got 1 left. And then I got to reread Promise of Blood, and I'll probably just listen to it. But the next one I read is about friggin' Taniel, and nobody likes Taniel. Like, all of us that read Promise of Blood, we don't like Taniel. Cuphole's cooler, but Taniel is not. Anyway, The Face in the Window is I like Taniel as a little kid in the Girl from Hrish Avenue, which is my favorite of his short stories so far. This one is fine. Like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, it's just aggressively fine. There's no surprises. He does meet Copphole, but you know he's going to meet Copphole from literally the first page. And you also, once you figure out, what the story's about, you know how it's going to end because of the title of the thing. So it's not surprising, and it's fine. I do like McClellan's action scenes, but the mages, the wizards, the privileged, they continue to be useless. They are unable to do anything. They can only kill people who are not important to the plot. There's a lot of people in the story that just don't matter. Like, none of it really matters. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. It's not Siege of Tilper, glory be in the saints be praised. So anyway, I give it 3 stars because, I'm basically comparing it with the other ones that I don't enjoy. But I do hope that when I get back to Promise of Blood, that I will like it more than I did the first time. Or at the very least, that I can like the rest of the series. Oh, yeah, you can check out my Goodreads review. Some of the problems is the fact that, there's no distance. There's no Powder Mage distance other than a mile. Everything. He can see a mile off. Oh, he can hit that a mile away. He can hit this off of something a mile away. And it's okay, all right. And other various things that irritate me. Whatever. Moving on. So the next one is Learning from Shogun, which is a series of nonfiction essays, and it's 3 stars. That is collected by a professor, I don't know if he's still a professor, at one of the universities in California. And it's all in response to James Clavell's Shogun, because James Clavell's Shogun had such a cultural impact that a bunch of people wrote essays about Shogun, about different elements of Shogun, whether it's from the way sex is portrayed, from the way seppuku is portrayed, which is too much in Shogun. They don't actually commit seppuku like on a dime. Through the way the Europeans are portrayed in it, to, you know, trade and what they eat in the book. And so it's really, really cool. It also goes through the history of like the people that are in Shogun, because Clavel changed the names. So he goes, some of the essays deal with the real people who were in this. Some of the ones you may not know, like beyond Tokugawa and Nobunaga and all that stuff, like people like the real Lady Gracia's husband, who gets a raw deal as Buntaro in Shogun, how he was not like actually like Buntaro. Anyway, so he gets 3 stars because of the essays that I was really interested in, the topics I was really interested in. They were great, and it like just gives you more insight into the time period and the historicity of it. And then the essays I didn't care about, they were boring. I skimmed them because I just didn't want to read them. Like I didn't care. I didn't care about like, oh, well, look, this about the diet is right. I'm like, I don't care what they ate. So I didn't skip them, but I just skimmed them. And so it just kind of evened out. The essays that I liked, 5 stars. The essays I didn't like, just kind of, I don't care. So anyone who has read Shogun and wants to know more about the period, I definitely recommend reading through those, or reading through any of the ones that sound interesting to you. It's free. It's a free PDF. If you do a search Learning for Shogun PDF download, like on the University of California or wherever it is website, you can just download the PDF. So yeah, so I definitely recommend that for anybody who is interested in more of the time period of Shogun. My next 4-star read was Boosh, Dictator, or Dictator, by Robert Harris. This is the concluding volume of the Cicero trilogy that we've been reading along on my channel, and man, it was just so fun. What a success. And it was so awesome watching Anitha and other people who didn't know anything about this time period discover these things for the first time, because Kyle and I are pretty well versed on it, and so it was really, really cool seeing how other people felt as they are seeing these things for the first time. This book was not as good as the previous 2, in my opinion. It was either too short or not long enough, which is the same thing. It was either, I don't know, like, it went too fast. It went too fast, and either, like, it just needed to be split into 2 books, or it needed to stop at a different point. It just read like a laundry list of, okay, here are the things that happen. And it's not really Robert Harris's fault. Cicero wasn't really present at a lot of those things, but even the really important things that occurred that Cicero was present for are just kind of glossed over. And so it should have been longer. I bet it didn't have to be a second book. I bet if you added 100 pages to it, and you'll never, I mean, I'm advocating for a longer book. It just felt kind of skeletal, kind of like a history book. And that is less interesting to me because I already know the history. I'm looking for kind of a narrative of this. So while it was still excellent, and the series is still amazing, and I recommend anyone who is interested in the last century or the first century BC, with Cicero and Caesar, and the fall of the Roman Republic, anyone who is even remotely interested in that time period should read the Cicero trilogy 100%. Now, Anitha, who did not know any of that stuff prior, loved the book. So I think it's just the problem that I knew all of it, so it just seemed like it read like a nonfiction book. So yeah, so disappointing that it wasn't quite as good as Imperium and Conspirata for me, but still a solid ending with some really, really powerful moments for the Cicero trilogy. All right, I should have mentioned that this isn't a book either. It's a Boosh, Father of Lies, 4 stars. This is a short story and novella collection by K.J. Parker. I've been reading this off and on. When I have a collection like this, I read, this is what I do when I have short stories also, is every time I finish a book, I go and read one of the novellas or short stories, and then, you know, on and on and on. So it's taken me a while, but I finally finished Father of Lies, and I think Father of Lies is a weaker collection than Academic Exercises in basically every way. I'm rating this 4 stars not on the strength of the novellas, because I had already read the novellas and I own them separately, but the novellas in here are Downfall of the Gods, Last Witness, The Devil You Know, and yeah, I guess that's it. Those 3. And those 3 are good. None of those are really... The Devil You Know is really good. The Devil You Know is probably my favorite of those novellas. But the stories themselves, I liked significantly less than Academic Exercises. And I was most excited for Parker's nonfiction essays in this, because in Academic Exercises, he has 3 nonfiction essays that are so good. Like, they're so good. I want to read them all the time. I make my classes read them. They're so freaking good. I wish all academic treatises were written in that same style. Just absolutely fascinating, and about a topic that I'm interested in, basically armor, weapons, and siegecraft. So good. There were none of those in here. It was just short stories, and a lot of them felt the same to me, and none of them really like popped for me. So, you know, and there's my least favorite thing I've read by Parker ever, and that's Heaven Thunders the Truth. I hated it. I hated it. 2 stars. I hated it. But I love Parker as an author, and so even a bad Parker story, I still really love the way he writes, and I, you know, respect his craft, even if I don't always love what they're about. His, like, short fiction, like, I love the novellas, but the short fiction, like, the short stories are really hit or miss for me. They're not really my favorite thing. And so, you know, Father of Lies collection, it's a 4-star, and that's, you know, not really counting the novellas. I've rated the novellas kind of separately, so you can go check my Goodreads if you need to see that. Next on the list at 4.5 stars, we have Boosh! Fulgantius by Cesar Ira. And Fulgantius... I'd have a review here. I just put it out. You can look at it if you want. It is a very short book, and it is extremely well written, with some very, very prescient observations on humanity and kind of the amoral distance that we put between ourselves and other people or societies or things that we think we're better than. It is very hard to read. I do recommend it if you are okay with like feeling like I don't really love anybody in this, then you should read it, especially if you like really beautifully written things that have really, you know, good quotes on the nature of man. It is about a Roman general named Fulgantius. Who is leading a Roman army into Pannonia, which is modern day like Austria area, because Vindobona, he's going to Vindobona, which is modern day Vienna, I guess. And he is much more interested in staging a play than he is all of these people he's having to like slaughter to get there. He's not interested at all. But it says some really interesting things about the difference between how someone reacclimates to polite society after being in the military, and what is the purpose of art and the nature of reality reflected in art, and, you know, imperialism and civilization versus savagery, that kind of stuff. I'm glad I read it, but I just don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how to feel about it. You can get my full thoughts there, right there on, and I'm going to say his name again just so you can get, you can go ahead and get that Gloria clip, Fulgantius. Before I get to the last book, as always, talk about the stuff that I've been watching and playing. So I made it all the way to the beginning of season 4 of Attack on Titan, and I'm like, don't talk to me about it in the comments. Please don't spoil anything. Don't, or I'll just stop watching it. But it's good. I think, like, I'm not even gonna say who I think sucks. Whatever. It's good. And then I finally finished The Witcher. I finally finished the friggin' Witcher. Finally platinum The Witcher.
It was a griffin, an arch-griffin, in fact.
In that case, I'm grateful. Arch grateful.
Boom, done. And then I started playing Trails. I might have said this in the last wrap-up. No, because it's March. I started playing Trails to Azure, which is the next it's Crossbell 2. It's the next in the Trails of games, which is like a series of 11 games so far. The first half is 11 games that all tell basically a continuation of the same story, just set in different periods. There's the 3 games in the Kingdom, 2 games in the Independent State, and then there's 4 games in the Empire, and then there's a 5th game that wraps up all 3 of those arcs, and hopefully that equals 11, but now the dude has started his back half, the second set of 11 games, and they're so good. They're the slowest burns of slow burns ever, but I love them, and I love Trails of Azure, and I think the Japanese voice actor for Randy Orlando is one of the best video game voice actors I've ever had. Like, anytime I see Randy talking in all caps, I stop and listen to it, because he's gonna go, and I don't know. I love it. Anyway, it's very fun. I'm almost done with that. And then who knows what I'll be playing after that. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah. So now for my favorite book of the month. And it is 5 stars, an easy 5 stars. And maybe it makes up for the fact that the lack of 5 stars, the other ones. And that is Shogun by James Clavell. This took me 3 months to read because I broke it up with Joanna and Tori and Alex from Tall Guy Reads, and we read a third of it basically the first 3 months, and we finally finished it, and I was reminded on how much I love this book. Like, when I am finished with Shogun, I just sit back and am in awe of what Clavell accomplished. It's just brilliant. Like, there's barely anything about Japanese culture or history of the time period that isn't touched upon in there. It is a remarkably character-focused work, despite all of the things going about. Even the Ishida stand-in, who is, the main antagonist, is really just there to show us inside the characters of Blackthorn and Mariko and Toranaga. It's about, if you don't know, it's about an English sailor who is an English captain, a pilot, helmsman, who is piloting a Dutch merchant craft, and he shipwrecks in Japan, and all the things that happen from there. And it starts out very, very barbaric, and the Japanese are showed as these incredibly savage barbarians. But as Clavell begins to shift, as Blackthorn begins to think of the Japanese as even more civilized than he and his fellow Europeans, who think that they're better than the Japanese, obviously. But he begins to see that, like, wait a second, maybe they've got it right and we don't. And so we start to see the Japanese in this book in a different light as well. And it's I don't know. I've read it twice before. This is my third time reading it, and I love it just as much. An absolute masterpiece. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. I loved it. So, guys, that is it for me for today. That is my March wrap-up. What was your favorite book? What was the favorite thing you read in March, if you can think back that far? What is the best thing that you read in March? And yeah, I'll be back soon with an April one, I'm certain. So guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, information about my Patreon and Discord is down in the description, and I'll see you next time, guys.